Welcome to the Build on Beauty podcast, where beauty is born skin deep. Now, here's your host, author, speaker, entrepreneur, Cornell Jermaine.
Hello, thank you so much for joining me. We have a special guest with us today. He is a entrepreneur, TV personality, celebrity, hairstylist to the stars, and we are excited to talk with him about hair and the hair business in Hollywood. Please help me welcome Anthony Pazos. Anthony, how are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm okay. Just chilling in the living
Doing good?
dream. I'm a little tired this morning. I've been working, but I'm okay. I'm here.
And we are so glad to have you. Listen, we want to start with the beginning. We know and we've seen some of your work, and we know the extent of what you do in the hair business, and we want to hear from the beginning. What inspired you to get interested in the business of hair?
It kind of happened a little bit, I guess, by fluke, even though I hate that word. I have two sisters, Alyssa and Lauren, and there's a 10-year age difference between me and the middle child, and then a 12-year age difference between me and the youngest. And it was my responsibility every morning to help my family out and get my sisters ready for school. And that involved, making breakfast and doing their hair. And that's kind of where it all started, is by just me being, big brother and helping my sisters out. And they were definitely my guinea pigs. I remember my sister at 2 years old had a full head of highlights. She had perfect brows. I was plucking her brows. It was kind of a lot for a 3-year-old, but that's kind of where it all happened. And at that point, Britney Spears was really big as far as pop was concerned. I was really inspired by, Britney Spears and all of her extensions, and it just took shape from there. And I just felt really inspired, and I knew that I could mimic a look just by looking at it. And I felt really confident. And my poor 5-year-old and 3-year-old sister were basically my guinea pigs, and that's kind of how it all happened.
So you had a natural knack for it, and an eye for the whole business of it, and you're doing well in it. How did you get from that place into doing celebrity hair and working with the talent there in Hollywood?
So the first salon that I worked at in my city in Torrance, California. It's a suburb. It's a nice, middle class suburb, and it was nice. It was very boring. Did lots of housewives. And then I made the jump to Hollywood about a year into my career at a very prestigious Beverly Hills salon called Point de Vue. It was a French-inspired salon, and Parisian hairstylists tend to be a little bit snobbish. But in their snobbery, I learned how to deal with high-end clientele. I learned how to deal with really, really rich people. And there's a certain way and a certain aesthetic that affluent people like to have. There's a certain way of blow-drying their hair. Even there's just a certain way to deal with these type of people. They like the best because they're paying lots of money. And so I would say that the jump from my small suburb salon to my Beverly Hills salon really kind of opened the doors for me to work with high-end clientele and celebrities. And I basically apprenticed with this woman called Muriel Masté, who was a Parisian hairstylist, and her family worked with Coco Chanel and things like that. And they taught me the Jean-Louis David and Jacques Dessange techniques. And that's kind of where it started. And then from there, I kind of met more people, got introduced to PR firms who introduced me to their celebrities. And then I met Kim Kimble, who showed me a completely different modality of doing hair. And but it really all started when I moved to Beverly Hills in the Hollywood area. That's kind of where it all really happened for me.
Now you mentioned you mentioned the celebrity or affluent clientele having a different expectation. Because we have some aspiring beauty professionals, both hair and makeup, give us a little tidbit on that, because I think people need to drive that home and understand that you have to approach this particular client a different way. What is some technique or tips that you would give to a stylist that is approaching that or trying to embrace that clientele?
Right. Number one, I'm going to say you have to be confident. And I'm not saying, and there's a difference. There's a difference between being confident and there's a difference between being egocentric. You can't be egocentric. And what that means is when you're working with a star or someone that has money or that's very affluent, they're the one who has the power. So you're still kind of taking yourself down in a way without, so you're being confident in your craft, but you're not trying to one-up them, if that makes any sense. You're very, very confident in what you're doing, in your art, in your form of expression, in the way that you're doing their hair. You're a complete professional. You're always 15 minutes early, and you're going above and beyond just normally just doing their hair. So and I do hair and makeup now. So if I'm doing hair and makeup for somebody, it's not just, giving them a full face beat down or, just curling their hair. If I'm curling their hair, I'm incorporating a lot of extension, more than what the normal person would do. It's because you want to create something for them that they can't create themselves. So everything is beyond accentuated, even when you're working with a particular brand. So when I'm doing makeup, even if I don't use my Chanel makeup or my Armani makeup, I have it all out so they can see the expensive brands that I'm working with. You just really have to go above and beyond, and I never treat them differently, even though they are, quote unquote, on a different monetary level, I guess. I don't go fangirl on them. You cannot go fangirl on them. The instant you go fangirl, it's when you become a fan to them and then they don't respect you as their hairstylist. It's almost kind of like, even if they're flying you private to wherever you're going and you're doing their hair, you just don't care. It's kind of like, no big deal, whatever. You're not putting a lot of importance into the fabulosity that it is because that's just a normal life. And so you just can't fangirl about it. It's no big deal, But inside you're like, oh my freaking God, I'm like totally flying private, I'm totally getting paid, this is awesome. But everything is really, lackadaisic and it's really kind of low key. But definitely go above and beyond, way above and beyond when you're working with a clientele that's affluent or a celebrity. Gosh, what else? What other information can I give people? Oh, sometimes people will Google search these people before they work with them. I don't Google search any of the stars that I work with, and for me, the reason why I don't is because it makes me nervous. I don't want to put them on a even higher pedestal than what they already are at, because then it's going to change my way of being with them. And when I'm talking to them, it's as if they're just a normal human being. I know that they're, super wealthy and super famous, but if they are, moving their head around too much when I'm doing their hair, I'm going to tell them, hey, I need you to stop moving. So I'm also very honest, and I'm honest, slightly direct, but still I know my place. So it's a really fine line. And as you go along and deal with bigger high-end clientele, you kind of find your way of dealing with them. And you also have to be confident in yourself and not be a pushover, because if they can completely walk all over you, they're not going to like that. They want someone that's going to kind of make a decision for them or be really honest. Oh, hey, Anthony, does this dress make me look fat? I'll be like, yeah, it kind of makes you, it's not your best, let's see what else there is. So honesty is really big too. I know it's a bad example, but
that was great.
Over here.
That was great. And you mentioned honesty, and I would add to that, I think just being honest with your personality, because they want to know who you are as a person. A lot of people might come into the situation trying to reserve themselves and, I don't want to laugh too much, I don't want to be too outgoing, or, but allowing your natural personality to show makes them fall in love with you even more, I would say. Would you agree?
Yes, I would totally agree. Now, here's the deal with that, because that goes two ways, but I completely agree with you, though. it really depends on the client. Some clients are very, especially when you first meet them, can be almost a little insecure if you're, for some reason, outshining them as far as personality is concerned. So you really got to kind of read the room as far as definitely be playful. But who was it? I recently worked with a Canadian artist doing hair who wanted these like really avant-garde updos. And she was the type of person, even though she was very famous, she did not want anyone else on the crew to outshine her. And so in that particular instance, she kind of had to be a little less personality. So yeah, it really depends, but I do agree with you on that one.
I get that. So you got into TV. I know you've done several shows, but here recently you've done work with Kim Kimble on LA Hair. Tell us how you got involved with the whole TV side of the business.
Right. So it just kind of all started back when I was in Beverly Hills doing hair at the Beverly Hills salon, and there was an opportunity. It was my idea, actually. I submitted myself for, I think it was the very first one that I did was, I think it was How Do I Look? And that was on Style Network. And essentially it was kind of like a makeover show, and they had a segment where they went into the Beverly Hills salon and we did their hair. And then I kind of got a feel for it there, and I realized I was good at it. I had personality on camera. I wasn't afraid of being on camera. And then I auditioned for Split Ends, which was on Style Network as well. And essentially that show was kind of like a wife swap, but it was a hairstylist swap. And I did that with, they flew me to New York. We did a whole, swapping of hairstylists. And usually how it was it was like a bow hunk, like Bible Belt type stylist with like a very high-end stylist. But this time it was a high-end West Coast against high-end East Coast. So that episode came out really, really ego, a lot of fighting, a lot of crying. I totally cried on national television. It was a lot. And then I auditioned for another show through a different network, and I made it. It was called Hair Battle Spectacular. And I made it all the way to the end, and then I realized that it wasn't for me. But they remembered me, my audition from a year before, and they brought me back for the Kim Kimble show. And I'd always known of Kim Kimble's work because, Kim Kimble is amazing. And, of course, she worked with Beyonce. Who doesn't love Beyonce? Come on now, let's get real.
Right.
And they brought me on, and it was awesome. They brought me on as a receptionist, which for me was kind of a little bit of a ding to my ego, but it was still an opportunity for me to be on national television as a recurring role, and so I couldn't say no. And, that's what happened, and I guess the rest is history.
Wow.
And Kim is, I'd worked African American hair before, not as much as I did now, because I feel like if you're not necessarily African American, most white people don't really work with African American hair. It's very intimidating, and they just don't. And I feel like so freaking blessed that I have that opportunity to be able to work with that type of texture, because it just makes me way more fabulous. I'm like, oh my God, is that a white boy? Even though I'm not white.
Right.
Laid that hair. He just laid that hair. He laid those edges. I'm like, yes, ma'am, honey. Yes, I did. And so it's just cool. I love it. I just love it. I just love being able to work with everybody. I love it. Why be pigeonholed into one modality of hair? That's so boring. And that's what happened there.
Exactly. Now, you and Kim, speaking of Kim in the show, some of you guys worked with Beyonce at the Super Bowl. That had to be the most amazing experience. What was that like?
Oh, my God. Wow. It's so unreal. It's so unreal. I feel like as of now, that's probably been one of the biggest moments in my career. First of all, Beyonce is a sweet time. She's very, I'm totally divulging everything. She's very controlled as far as her personality is concerned, and it's only because she's a huge star. So she really has to watch what she says and how she communicates with the crew, and she really is really mindful. She's still a sweetie pie, though. It was a lot of work doing that show. There was 32 backup dancers plus Beyonce. So Sunday was the game day. We got there on a Wednesday, and Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we did full dress rehearsals. I mean full dress rehearsals. Beyonce likes to videotape the dress rehearsals, like the entire dress rehearsal, because she wants to see playback to see if she's going to change her outfit or change her hair, because she's like really involved with her production. And I get it. It's her brand. So, of course. So it's a lot of work, and you're always trying to please her. We got to meet Jay-Z. He was very sweet and nice. A little tidbit that people don't know about is that Jay-Z and Beyonce don't have a nanny for Blue Ivy. They take care of Blue Ivy by themselves, which I thought was kind of nice. You know what I mean? They're taking care of their own baby, So that was really sweet and heartfelt. They have like a billion assistants, but the assistants don't deal with Blue Ivy. They deal with Blue Ivy by themselves. So I kind of respected that. So that was kind of nice. So I was like, wow, you guys are real people, who are taking care of your own kids. So that was really nice. And then there was a controversy on what Beyonce decided to do for the Super Bowl. Obviously there was a Black Panther inspired feel to it. And I think I feel like the community, the African American community, was like, yes, because their voices were being heard, and to be a part of it was just like so, like, it was wow, and just to be a part of it, it was just like, oh my God, I felt so honored, and of course people were crying, and it was just so unreal, so unreal. It was just, and fucking Beyonce, she's so amazing. I cannot stand her. She's just so amazing. Wow. I get why she is who she is. And she's a sweetie pie. And there was all these wigs. And all those were all wigs. All the backup dancers. 32 wigs that we had to brush out and Afro pick and Afro sheen. And so, and of course, I was the only white boy on the crew. Hey, white boy, hey. But I've been totally vouched for, and so it's awesome. I just love it, I've got freaking just, I love it. I love that I'm accepted into another community. It feels fucking awesome. Awesome.
Speaking about the wigs, because you mentioned it, and in our communities now, in the hair community, people are just like loving lace fronts and all that, and so many people have their speculations on Beyonce wears the lace fronts and she does this. I don't want you to tell anybody's business, but if there are wigs, how are they attached? How do they stay on, like, with all the head swinging, and what is that technique?
So for that particular show, that was a big concern for us, because there was, first of all, we had to braid everyone down. All the girls had to be, so 32 cornrows on 32 girls. It was intense. Because there's 32 backup dancers. So we're worrying about Beyonce getting her together plus her backup dancers. So needless to say, we were up at like 4 o'clock in the morning braiding everyone down. And then we had to secure the wigs. The wigs had pins in them, like a bunch of pins in them, like anchoring them everywhere. And then we had to anchor down the beret. So we pinned down the wigs, very secure, very tight, and then we sewed down the berets for that particular event. And even in dress rehearsal, berets were popping off. And you can't have that come game day. Like, that was not going to happen. So we literally were sewing down hats to braids to wigs. It was just like it was just like calamity. It was out of control. And then Beyonce, I mean, she wears lace fronts. Let's get real, okay? Beyonce's lace fronts are like, they're on fleek. You know, they're completely custom to her. Her hair is completely braided down underneath. There's a full-on lace front. She usually wears like 32 inches of relaxed texture hair. It's fabulous. Her wigs run around $3,000 to $5,000 per wig. Kim travels. We travel with like just duffel bags, and like, I kid you not, there was probably like 8 duffel bags full, and like 4 big boxes full of just hair. Just like, it needed like its own van just to bring the hair. And Beyonce's always changing it. So, and you have to be, and it's always about her mood. So if she's feeling kind of more, I don't know, it just depends. So we did a full wig for her. It was more like a fro type wig, like a loose textured fro. And we tried that on one of the rehearsals, and she wore it, and it was shorter, and it was blonde, but she ended up not going with it. Come game day, she ended up going like super long with an S pattern, which was a S pattern, like a 2-prong S pattern curling iron. And, of course, she had a bunch of extension hair in there. And we ended up sewing some more hair in there because she wanted it really cool. But, yeah, she wears wigs. Lace front wigs are everything. I freaking love them. Kylie Jenner's making them really popular right now. They're just really cool. It's a nice way to, like, switch up your look, you know? So I'm into it.
Absolutely. Now, for a new stylist that's breaking into that Hollywood business, let's talk just the infrastructure for briefly, because we know you have an assistant, you have a studio. For someone that's going to have a salon, have a regular clientele, and still do TV and celebrity, what kind of team do you need to have in place? Like, who needs to be on your team? Because I know it's impossible to do that all by yourself. How do you structure that?
Yeah. So what I have is I have 2 assistants. These are my clerical assistants. So they help me out with newsletters and invoicing and just texting people, texting my clients if for some reason I'm running late on set, which usually always happens. And I kind of divide the work between them 2. I have Angelique and I have Richard. And they really, really help me, and they keep me organized because I'm usually always, knees deep doing hair. And so I can't invoice somebody or call somebody or let them know that I'm doing hair. Because I have to be focused on my client the whole time. And your client, especially when they're paying a lot of money, they want your undivided attention. And so it's, you have to have that infrastructure and those people to help you. And it's just a part of the game, too. I feel like people, especially where I'm at right now in my career, even though obviously I want to keep building, they expect you to have help. And it would be really weird if I didn't have help at this point in the game. They'd be like, wait a minute, how do you not have help? It's a part of the game, and I feel like the game is intended to be played how it's intended to be played. It's all an illusion, too. It's all about being fabulous, and it's a whole thing. But it's designed that way for a reason. So it seems fabulous, but it's at the end of the day, it's still a lot of work. And I'm just managing people, And then there's my whole creative side. I have my artists that help me, and they're just a dream. And if I have a job that's too big, or if I'm doing makeup on that job, they'll be doing the hair for me. So they've kind of grown through my clientele, which is nice. But if anyone that works for me, the one thing that I ask for is, just 2 things: honesty and loyalty. Because sometimes I'm sending them out on a job that's with a big celebrity, and they may be just starting out, but I need them to be loyal to me and kind of, I guess, essentially not try to take my clients away. So I have them sign NDAs and non-competes. So I'm always trying to, keep myself protected for what I've created for myself. And that's really important, especially if they're going to go to, Sunday we went to David Hasselhoff's house, and I had one of my girls come with me, and David's there, and you can't, if you're hearing something at this person's house, you can't just go and divulge this information to, your friend down the street, because you're into this person's house and that's their personal business. So you're always kind of not on guard, but you want to keep yourself protected to protect your clients so that you can continue to work because they trust you, because you're not going to divulge, what you saw in their house or whatever, or what you heard in their house.
Now, what you mentioned, having the assistants and having the artists, how important is like an attorney or a publicist or agent? Are they viable also to your career?
So, I totally didn't think about that. So I have my manager. She is a total bulldog. Like, she does not mess around. Some people would kind of call her, she's kind of a bitch, and I hate to say that, but she's playing her game too. She has to be tough, because she's fighting for me. So if, for example, if there's something I didn't want to do on LA Hair, I think there's like one episode that they wanted me to like dress up like a drag queen, and I wasn't feeling it, and they really wanted me to dress like a drag queen, so I called her, and then she called the production and was like, hey, it ain't going to happen, don't ask them, yada, yada, yada. So she's like bad cop, if that makes any sense, and I'm good cop. Super important. You need those managers to negotiate those deals for you. You can't negotiate a deal. You can't negotiate more money for yourself because it's yourself. You need someone to be there to negotiate it for you. And then the attorney comes into play. I have a Jewish attorney who is another bulldog. I love him. He's very straightforward with me. He knows a lot of people in the industry, so it kind of helps out as far as when he's trying to make a deal with production companies, so on and so forth. He's amazing. And then I have two different firms of publicity that I work with. I work with Anderson Group PR, and they have Eva Longoria. And I work with a smaller agency. It's Kelly K PR, and they just kind of get me red carpet. It's always important, even if you're not. So when I say I'm not on, that means I have nothing to promote, or I'm not shooting, or maybe I am shooting and I can't be on. And what it does is, once you're on a television show, you need to use that platform to I guess, to spread your brand more. And there's no reason to get a publicist if you don't have a national television show to promote, or you have to be doing something that's viable. You can't just be like, oh, hey, like, I work at, TJ Maxx and I want to get a publicist, because the truth is these publicists are pitching you to events, and the other publicists are either accepting you to this event or not based on your celebrity. But you need the publicist to keep promoting who you are and keep getting your name out there. It's a whole situation, and it's actually right now I'm not on with publicists because LA Hair is shooting. I'll probably go back on in a month or two from now to promote myself through LA Hair or whatever. But it's all one big team trying to get to the next level of success, essentially. And there's no way you can get to the next level without these particular aspects. You have to have it. It does not work. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but you need this team to get you to continue to get you to the next level, into the next level, and to the next level. And you just and don't stop. Just don't stop. Get it.
Wow. Don't stop. That's amazing. Now, aside from doing TV and being with the celebrities, you have some projects that you're doing right there in West Hollywood, just off the Sunset Strip. You have Glam Gods and you have Color Express. Tell us about these two ventures.
So, Color Express is a new one that it's in the making. It's kind of like on the back burner as far as like the to-do list is concerned. Because this to-do list that I have is just like, my to-do list is just, oh my God, it's ridiculous. I'm actually working on it right now. just kind of on the bottom of the list. But anyways, Glam Gods is my newest venture. It is a mobile beauty service that I send talented artists, makeup artists, hairstylists, nail technicians, spray tanners, eyelash extensions, and now wardrobe stylists. And they're all trained by me. I show them kind of how I do things. And so when I'm sending them out to a celebrity's house, the celebrity's trusting me because they are trained by me. And it kind of happened because there was an overflow of work that I couldn't do, and I needed my assistants to go to these jobs. And so I needed to kind of make it more of a professional setting. And it's great. I love it. My clients love it. And it's kind of opened up to, weddings now and celebrities, whether they're going to a red carpet event or if they're going to a premiere. And it's just everyday people, too, that know who I am and believe in my work and maybe don't want to pay what I would charge, but still want to look fabulous and know that I'll send them a good person. And so that's kind of how it all worked out. And I like it. And my girls are amazing. They're super talented. So I like it. It's fun.
Well, you have some amazing things going on, and I don't want to hold you too much, but it's been a pleasure. I'm going to let you go back on set because I know you're busy, but thank you so much for joining us, and I'll be in touch real soon with you. Well, thanks so much for joining us here. This has been the Build on Beauty podcast, where beauty is born in deep. I'm your host, Cornell Jermaine. Until next time, let your soul be made whole. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Build on Beauty podcast. For more information about our host, please visit cornelljermaine.com.